What is going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today we're going to talk to you about Faraday Future. I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down on what's causing so much volatility today and what might be coming next. Before we get into any of that, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. Starting off, Faraday is flirting between red and green as of right now. It did have 69 cents the high though, so I'm going to break it down on what actually caused it to get that high and why it did bounce off of that general area. Market's been open around 1 hour, 118 million shares have been traded, 318 is the average. So generally good stuff. Still no news today, no SEC filings, nothing like that. So people are still trying to digest the recent news that came out on the 29th about the whole bridge, which obviously they did say another further update will come in 1 month's time. And then aside from that, compliance. I think compliance, that aspect for Faraday will be the next big thing. So once they do hear from the NASDAQ hearing panel on what they need to do to rectify the deficiencies and obviously get the all clear, that might be the very big next catalyst for Faraday, propelling it higher, because there's still a lot of retail absolutely in love with Faraday. So I think that might be, like I said, the next big thing. As far as recent updates, there was this that was posted on Twitter yesterday, and it did say, we would like to clarify and address the significant misunderstandings and doubts from investors following the release of our 2023 annual report yesterday. So I think that this is fairly good. The only negative is if you actually click this, it actually does show it as private, but if you do a little bit of digging, it actually is available on YouTube, as you can kind of see. So hopefully they do, or at least are somewhat aware of that. Maybe they just mistyped something or something along those lines, but I'm going to play this near the tail end of the video. It's around 3.5 minutes, but still at least they talk on a lot of the hot topics from their earnings and try to clear the air. When it comes to shorts today though, they are returning 174,000 shares, 17.73% of the free floats being shorted, works out to be 6.75 million shares overall are being shorted. Cost of borrow average 13.28. It is still on the threshold list ever since, I believe it is May the 8th or May the 9th, but still at this stage in the game, any stock on the threshold list for 13 consecutive trading days, the SEC is supposed to interject and get the market makers to rectify the deficiency. But this is where I've seen some posts on social media saying that the market makers are the entities actually shorting Faraday. So this is why they haven't really fixed the threshold list. So it's definitely something to keep in mind, because as I've said in the past, what got Faraday so popular was not due to its operations. So even though the CEO is kind of addressing it, I think it's good, it's still, Faraday is a very big momentum play as well as a squeeze play. So what's your thoughts on 17.73% of the free float? Do you think that's correct? Do you think there's a lot of naked shorting and it's like 10 times that? What's your viewpoint on Faraday? When it came down to Faraday, that day that it was extremely volatile, so I think it had a high of like $3.90, a low of like 92 cents. I did say at that time that the options activity was signaling that there was going to be a second run, and lo and behold, that's exactly what did happen. And you're seeing the very similar data points. So starting off, 613,000 in calls, 498,000 in puts that's being purchased. Even looking over the last 3 days, you do see a lot of calls, $5.79 million worth. But looking right now at the open interest for this Friday, so you do have 15,000 at that 50-cent strike price and then 30,000 at that $1 strike price. This is why you are seeing Faraday being suppressed by just market makers, a lot of entities selling because they want it below 50 cents. They don't want to cover these on the open market, and same goes for the $1 strike price. Obviously, there's a very big correlation, especially outside of even Faraday, with a lot of stocks that market makers and shorts work side by side, or possibly they're the same entity, to bring it below strike prices. That way it prevents any possible gamma squeeze, but the options activity is looking very optimistic, similar to that video that I did. So in reality, there could be a second, or I guess this would be a third significant run. I'm not calling mother of all short squeezes here, but you never know, you could see a nice potential run to retest at least 70 cents or possibly $1. I'm going to talk on technicals and whatever else. These are some of the transactions that have occurred on the secondary market above $100,000. So big money hasn't been getting in as they once were, I guess, but they're still paying attention to it. So generally a good thing based on the bid, the ask, and the selling price. Anything that does show a ask is a buy. So institutions are still buying Faraday. So definitely a very positive thing. Same goes for dark pool. Dark pool is very popular. That's linked to shorting as well as larger institutions. Just briefly looking right here. So right now it's at about 55 and change, but it is trading between this S3 and this S2. So 22 cents will be that next strong support, and then 70 cents will be that next strong resistance / target. And that's actually what it did bounce off of today. So Faraday, even though momentum plays and squeeze plays don't really follow technicals, or at least there's no real benefit, but in today's case, it kind of did bounce off of that general area. So at least going into next week, definitely watch for this S2 to be that next strong target for Faraday. And like I've said over the last couple of videos, Reddit seems to be on fire, that like Faraday seems to be their target and that they want to bring up. So you never know, 70 cents. And once 70 cents is broken, it's just a matter of time before $1, $1.47, $1.95, and so forth. So let me know your thoughts on Faraday. Like I said, I'm just going to quickly play this video, so let me know your thoughts on that.
One of the numerous questions we received is, my name is 𝗪𝗧𝗧𝗛. I'm the global CEO of Faraday Future. We had our earnings call yesterday with a very big participation compared to the other earnings calls. As a follow-up of the earnings call, we received a number of questions where you need additional information, what led to the changes between our Q3 2023 filing and the 10K disclosure, which we filed yesterday. So one of the numerous questions we received is, why did the total share count shown on the stock trading platforms increase tenfold overnight? Regarding the increase in FF's share count from 40 million to over 400 million, there's a gap between our disclosures of nearly 5 months. We disclosed our Q3 earnings in November last year, and we disclosed our 10K just yesterday. And with that, there's a gap of 5 months where the stock trading platforms were not able to update the data because of the missing disclosure.
And what he's talking about is their earnings technically was as of December 31st, 2023, but they did say that at the time, I think it was May the 17th, there was 400 or in excess of 400 million for the outstanding share count. That's what he's kind of talking about.
That leads to the misperception that we have a dilution of tenfold overnight, which is not true. The next question we got is, who were the most of these shares issued to, and why issuing those shares? So as of May 10th, the company had a total outstanding share count of nearly 400 million. These shares were gradually issued before 2024 and over the past 4 months, with most being issued to existing institutional investors, specifically those who participated in this year's additional issuance. The financing corresponding to these conversions primarily represents convertible bonds they invested in at last 6 months prior to the conversion. As everyone knows, the company has faced extremely challenging financial difficulties over the past 6 months. We struggled to pay rent in recent months and were on the verge of being evicted from the headquarters we purchased when the company was founded. During this critical moment, existing institutional investors have continued to support the company. The shares issued earlier were specifically to save the company from bankruptcy and delisting. Meanwhile, the company implemented a series of cost-cutting measures, including salary reductions for all employees. Everyone at the company has made significant sacrifices, and it is through this collective effort that we now have the opportunity for the company's rebirth. The third question we want to discuss: after May 13, did the company or the original institutional investors made any transactions with the near 400 million outstanding shares that were issued before May 10? So firstly, the company did not participate in the aforementioned transaction. Secondly, according to the company's best knowledge, as of May 10, the company's total outstanding shares had reached nearly 400 million. Additionally, the original institutional investors had sold all their shares in the secondary market over the past few months, so it would be impossible for these investors to trade the aforementioned shares after May 13. Since the rise of the stock price and the restoration of confidence, the company has decided to stand firmly with all individual investors and safeguard their interest while adhering to legal and regulatory requirements. We cherish the hard-won confidence of our retail investors and believe that with their collective support from both China and the United States, we will overcome short sellings and successfully lead the AI EV industry revolution. Due to time constraints, further clarification and interaction will follow. Thank you very much.
So yeah, pretty good stuff. He does talk on something near the tail end, saying that they'll overcome shorting. There would be a very positive reaction to the stock price if they were to elaborate. I think it was in September or something along those lines. That's when they last gave a update, because they were wanting to go against naked shorting as far as a lawsuit. So I'll just have to find that. But definitely they have at least laid the foundation, because they did hire Share Intel to really monitor the actual activity. And actually, I think it was on October the 15th. That's what they're doing to protect stockholder interests. And I think there was a couple of other updates since then. So let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. And one final thing I just wanted to share with you, take advantage of this promo. Simply sign up for a new account with 𝗪𝗧𝗡, throw $100 at it, and they give you 5 free stocks, each valued up to $2,000 each. So pretty kick-ass deal. Take advantage of this. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.